Okay, so I'm not crazy. StreamYard definitely changed up the vibe of that countdown music, did they not?
Yeah,
That
the
threw me
countdown
off.
music was different. It threw me off.
Oh, the jams are playing. Oh shit!
Hey, StreamYard, they got some good music on there. I'll say that. Especially the audio test. Nothing gets better than that little jingle.
Oh, the audio test on this and StreamYard is great. But speaking of tests and reviewing and new things, we did find a cool way to kind of overview our projections from the off season. If anyone remembers those, Donnie actually gave us a kind of a point system, kind of a gamification way to look at it. I think it adds some flair to it. So that way, we're not just reviewing our season-long projections, but we're actually giving you some kind of
game show. Yeah.
Right. So I'll let you explain that, Donnie. You got a nice presentation here. We'll just lead off the top of that and go from there.
If you can bring our faces in so we can get some live reactions, because I will say there are some shockers on this season. I didn't realize how wrong I was on some things. I can't believe how right I was on some things. I'm sure you guys have the same reaction to it. Because
it actually reminds me, Donnie, before we start, how many of us actually remember our division? Do you remember your records at all?
I'm pretty sure I had the Bengals winning the fucking AFC North. So yeah, I'm gonna be wrong.
I haven't looked. I haven't looked at all. Like, I knew Donnie was doing this behind the scenes, so I kind of let him do it because I wanted that kind of reveal. I do remember that I was lowest on the Steelers, so I have to eat that because I do believe I had them maybe only having 4 wins, and then the Vikings I was totally wrong about, which I promise you is not.
I at least somehow found a way to get the Steelers, I think, 8 or 9 wins.
That's what I did. I remember that. We had this conversation, and this was back in June. So these predictions were we were trying to figure out.
This is literal off-season stuff. Yeah.
We were talking through this because we were like, all right, if we're going to draft a best ball team, we might as well have a picture of what we want these teams to do. That was the exercise here.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, when we get to the teams like the Steelers, I didn't think the Steelers were going to be good. I had them at 4 wins, but I was like, well, Mike Tomlin's there, so I'm going to find a way to get them up. They need to win some games that they're not supposed to because they're the Steelers, and that's what they do.
Exactly. They'll be better than you think at some point, regardless of what their quarterback situation was. It didn't matter.
Point system-wise, if you got a correct record, the exact record right for a team, it's going to be worth 3 points. If you were within 3 wins, you get a single point. If you were so astronomically wrong that you couldn't even get within 7 wins, and that was a generous number, we talked about that afterwards. I did this not knowing how wrong everyone was going to be on certain things. I wish I put it to 6, maybe 5, like Gov had told me beforehand. But I just didn't know how wrong we were going to be. So that was -2. If you got the perfect division, obviously we're not going to get all teams right. If you can just get the placement of, okay, this team's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, that is worth 3 points. And every correct division winner is going to be worth 2 points. It's a very generous point system. If we do this again next year, it will not be as generous. Because like Logan had said before, and I don't remember if we were live when he said it, there needs to be more deductions. And we'll figure that out. I was running out of time on this.
It's like when you're teenagers.
I'm just now realizing that says plus exclamation point.
No, that is the font, and I don't like it either. That is, I don't.
No, that's exclamation point. That's not +1 or anything.
Oh, I must have
clearly an exclamation point.
I must have held the shift, but I think I know.
Hey! I got fat fingers too. It happens. We know. It's
the shift. Hey, that would be a pretty fat.
That shift key is kind of
that's pretty far away. That
would you just chop down that hit the run button? Sorry, that was horrible of me. It was hilarious.
All right. So first coming up is going to be Gov's. Gov, how do you think you did?
Well, clearly by the picture, you have me winning. You have you as the old
this race ended
going to
be
in his last one, and then you have ciao. I don't know. Let's see.
You just had the best profile picture.
Now, Gov, you did win the rankings in our spread picks.
I did win the spread picks, but this is a preseason ranking. This wasn't picking week to week.
This is Gov's. On the right is obviously what he had. The AFC East is disgusting, Gov. I just want to say that. You go over, look at it, tell me what you're thinking.
Oh, I should have never been down on Buffalo. They just ended up figuring it out. Like, if I don't go down on them, if I'm not down on them, then I don't give their wins or I have them losing to the Jets and the Dolphins. If you flip those, now Buffalo's closer to 10 and 11, and the Jets and the Dolphins are like 8 and 9 win teams.
That was your worst division. I mean, you lost 2 points on it.
It was bad. It was bad. It was bad.
To be fair, though, and Donnie, you can spoil this if you want or keep it somewhat of a reveal. I do think everyone, basically in the industry, not even us, podcasts around the world, if you will, were all high on the Jets. Everyone thought the Jets were going to do a lot better than they actually did. But I'm sure you can victory lap if you were right. But I'm saying the consensus around the industry was the Jets were going to be a playoff team, I think. So this isn't so egregious. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, owned. Give me the negative points. Negative points. Just
see now, Gov, I will spoil this. You were the only person who had 2 divisions that were perfect placement divisions. And that was the South and the West.
So you're saying I had the AFC East wrong, but the rest of the AFC fucking golden.
Except the Bengals.
Pretty much.
Browns, yes.
Except the Bengals did. Well, the Bengals had.
No, you still got a point for the Bengals, actually.
The Browns, my bad.
Yeah, the Bengals, you still did get a single point. So
if they would have played Jameis all year, they'd have been 11-6.
In the offseason, people love personality. They love to get to know us. So I will excuse the Browns selection because everyone knows your father is a Browns fan. So you were trying to show some favoritism. You were trying to.
I didn't think they would be better. Like, I thought Chubb would come back. They'd be okay until then. And then, like, if the quarterback situation would be fine and Amari Cooper and
I think I'm not 100% sure because I did this a little bit ago. But, Gov, I know you had the Bears exactly right, and I think you had the Ravens exactly right, too, if I'm not mistaken. Point-wise. So, that's cool. You did have a couple teams that were exactly right.
I mean, to be fair, that whole NFC North looks basically what it was, except Minnesota somehow ends with the same fucking record as Detroit.
We all had Minnesota.
I didn't have both Minnesota and Detroit at 14-3. I'm sorry.
We all had Minnesota under 7 wins.
Yeah, like
so we were all really, really wrong.
Minnesota had a come out of nowhere year, at least to our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did.
We were really, really low on Minnesota.
I'll admit, I homered my Panthers. I definitely homered my
Panthers. You said that when you did it, though. You said you had
to be fair, we were like
you were competitive.
We had a lot of competitive games against teams that I thought we would win, and then we still lost. Like, I didn't have us beating Kansas City, which was a 1-score game. I didn't have us sweeping anyone in our division.
Now, I
figured we beat the Chargers, but the Chargers. I also thought the Chargers would be kind of good this year, which kind of good this year. They made the playoffs.
You were a game off perfect. I mean, but the Commanders might be the worst one.
That was the other one that came out of nowhere. Like, I knew Philly would just run away with it. I thought, like, what the Commanders did is basically what I thought Dallas would do. I figured they'd be healthy. They'd figure it out. They were already a talented offense. If they just have one good gel year on defense, they're right there with Philly. Instead, Philly has that gel year on defense and wins the fucking Super Bowl.
But overall, a score of 28, that is a pretty solid score. That is, I mean, considering how the point system worked, if you got the AFC East a little better, it would have been
If I just flip the Jets and Buffalo,
yeah,
straight up,
because that's
Buffalo
another,
at 11-6 and the Jets at 6-11.
Yeah, and that would have been like another 5 points because of correct division, and then within 3 wins. So that's another almost 5 points. That would have been.
So it's very close. Very close.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take that. 28.
Yeah, 28.
Not bad. It's not 20. 27 is an unlucky number. I'm glad I got to 28. So
now
solid.
moving.
Who got me that 1 point that got me there? NFC West. Thank you.
Niners actually lost 2 points on that.
Thank you, Rams.
Hey, you got points for Seattle.
And thank you, Tyler, for sucking like I thought you would.
I do got Rams news as you transition to the next slide, Donnie. They did give permission to Matthew Stafford to seek a trade this morning, officially.
Damn, I hate to see that. I hate it.
I mean, they need to move on from him, and it'd be better to like get something and let him do what he wants than be like, yeah.
So we're football fans. We're fantasy guys. We're used to being deep in the weeds. What does that mean for a casual fan? Like, when they say you can seek a trade, is that them saying, like, we've given up on you, or is there still a way that he comes back?
I think that's we're probably going to be done with you, but we're going to send you where you want to go. You're still valuable enough.
It's like, it's basically like saying, like, we've tested the market and we know what you're worth.
Yeah.
And we're willing to let you and your agent go and find someone to give us a deal. And we can work out what we know we can get.
I'm the same as you. It's like a cordial breakup. You're saying, like, hey, let's end this mutually, exclusively, beneficial for both sides. But we're done.
Yeah, they got what they needed out of it. Like, they traded one away, got him. Yeah. He won a Super Bowl too with them. They didn't just win a Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl too with them. That he wasn't winning in Detroit. Whatever you say about the team right now after the trade, like, what they got for Stafford kind of helped make this team so dominant.
It was a win-win. But go ahead, Johnny.
It was a win-win. Now we're going to move over to Logan's side. Logan, here was your predictions. Honestly, what kills me here is the Eagles thing. And I remember talking through it. I forget exactly what the reason was, but you basically just didn't trust coaching. I remember that. You thought it was going to be an ugly coaching season.
Mm-hmm.
But that still just kills me.
The Jets. He's got the Jets. Look at the Jets.
Yeah, I know he's got the Jets. He also has the Patriots there.
Oh, God. What did you do to Philly this year? Like, you had the year where, like, their defense just looks god-awful.
Yeah,
Although, to be fair, we may have done all of this. I think we did all of this before Saquon.
No, it was after Saquon.
It was after Saquon? Okay.
It was after Saquon. Yeah.
I appreciate you trying to give me the out, but I just didn't think that the Eagles defense was going to hold up. Now, Carter came on. He really made that defensive line something.
Yeah, and their young secondary just gelled after the bye. Like, they didn't look
Quinn and Mitchell.
They didn't look great the first 4 weeks. They were absolutely solid the second half of the season. And then the pass rush was just able to get there all year.
Mm-hmm.
But again, defense just became dominant.
Another bad Minnesota prediction.
Yep.
We were all on that train. You did get the exact right on the Titans. I believe they were 3-14, if I'm not mistaken. There was a couple of teams you didn't finish out the whole thing, so I just counted that as a tie, like the Niners one. So you did miss out on potential points there because one team you had going 7-9, and they probably would have went 7-10 if you in your predictions, and you probably would have gotten a point out of that, or an exact prediction out of that. Like you. Mm-hmm. So I didn't give a penalty for it because you already got the penalties in my eyes when I looked through it.
Getting no points is the penalty.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, fair enough. I do know I had to do this quite a few times, so maybe I sent the wrong submission over because I did correct it at one point. But
you did, yeah. I just never got the final submission.
I'm not mad at it though. I'm willing to, like I said, I was wrong on the Jets. I thought the Vikings were going to struggle with the rookie quarterback. I didn't think they had much of an idea.
To be fair, yes, our Vikings predictions were with JJ McCarthy. I think I even said I would have given him a couple more wins. I still would have had them being like, I had them the worst of anyone. But I said I would have given him a couple more wins if I knew it was Darnold. But I still wouldn't have gotten any points.
I believe this is a couple days after.
How he faked his way through a whole season, and in the last 3 games, he just looks like himself and awful. I don't get it. I do not get that. Like, that's a testament to Minnesota right there, making Sam Darnold look halfway decent all year. And in the final 3 games, including that playoff game, he just looks like Sam Darnold, and that's why you lose.
Yeah. We need to talk about this, by the way. You both had the Cowboys having 13-plus wins.
Go fuck yourself. They were supposed to be good.
No, they weren't.
I'm not a Cowboys sympathizer, but they could have been. Like, I like CeeDee Lamb. They could have been good. Jake Burks is solid. They could have been good.
They lost their quarterback.
Dak didn't play all year. Yeah. They had no run game, but that was their own damn fault.
Yeah, that was their fault.
And I
like how they were not like he goes in division. How do you not get Saquon? Why fucking shit? Dude.
Yeah, definitely Logan's worst division was that one.
Since we are talking about the Cowboys, they are the favorite to get Genty, though. Talking about running back, apparently they're the team that would make him the first round selection if he was there. I've heard a lot of smoke out of that arena. Was there anything about
to be fair, if they got Genty and an offensive lineman to keep Dak upright with what they have now, they would go back to having that like really highlight offense. Now their defense will still suck, but like they'd at least be able to put up points.
I love that we were all on the Chargers, by the way. Like, we were so right about
we knew that team was halfway decent, and Harbaugh was going to just give them discipline. Whether that would like gel year one, probably not. And like, I still think it took them half a year to figure out what to do with Herbert, and finally let Herbert and McConkdonk just flow.
And I still don't think that Jim Harbaugh's full culture is there. I just think he hit on a couple of things. Like, we all knew he wanted an offensive line.
He brought in offensive line. He brought in running backs. He's like, this is how we're going to run the offense. These are our guys. Let's get to it. And then by the end of the year, as they were breaking down, okay, let's do more passing because we need to. And Herbert and McConkey just had a great second half of the season, to be honest.
Good.
A big victory lap, though, from Logan can be taken about the Niners step back. Like, 100% was right about the Niners and still wasn't harsh enough. Did get a point for it.
He was harsh on the Niners, but not harsh enough. But that didn't give him like if you're gonna make the Niners a 9-win team, I think one of Seattle or the Rams should have been a 10-11 win team.
And they probably would have been. But I remember I was playing this as Christian McCaffrey is going to be a factor in that offense. Like,
that's true. And again, the Niners have McCaffrey basically not at all season. And they still were in games running the ball.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, it was the fact that they didn't have Ayuk. Debo looked kind of spent, and you're relying on Jawan Jennings and gunshot wound. Your rookie, Ricky Pearsall. Like, you're relying on Jawan a man, and a man who got shot. No. That's your receiving core. Basically most of the year for Brock Purdy, who we know Brock Purdy is not some elite quarterback. He might not be bad, but it's not like he's amazing.
Now, our best division by far is the AFC West, and I think it's almost interesting how good we were at predicting them. Because the worst prediction was the 9-7 Raiders amongst all of us. Like, we did really good as a group on that division.
Raiders suck, though.
Yeah, Raiders did end up sucking. So I'm just going to move it on to mine. And listen, I added up my AFC West score. I want to clarify this. I went through the math 4 or 5 times because I was like, that's a ridiculous score for one division. But here it is. I don't have it all divisions. I only took the conference ones. I wish I didn't now that I looked through and I did the review. But Raiders down here at 4-13, Broncos at 7-10, Chargers 9-8, and Chiefs 12-5. But it was a perfect division placement wise.
Yep, you got it.
And I got the division winner right. Yeah. So, I mean, that was a big one. That was a big one for me. Otherwise, NFC North, I want to look at as well. That was bad.
Let me see. Yeah, so you got, just making sure like this. So 11 points. Wow.
Yeah.
So you got the 3 points for the perfect division.
Yep. Then another.
You got the 2 points for the right person. That's 5.
Yep. You got
and then the Raiders were 4 and 12. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that division I did really, really good on. It is a perfect score on top of getting other teams within the 3, on top of everything. So it was good. It was a good one. One division decided it for me, for sure.
Basically, yeah.
But
it's not like I didn't call the AFC West too.
Yeah.
Like I had like 8 points. Like,
yeah, no.
The only difference was like you had the one team that you got completely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
And that's what I do like about your points. You are rewarding like the perfection or like the consistency. If you can get every team right, you get extra. That's why I like these points. And I knew when you described these points to me, Donnie, I knew I'd either be first or last, just the way I have my convictions. Because when I'm right about something, I'm usually so right, and everyone else is on the other side of the tracks. That's just how I am. So, but I'm not surprised that you and Gov were close.
Yeah. And then my NFC West was saved by a perfect Cardinals at 8 and 9. Like, man, I really felt good about these. AFC East, I got everyone within a couple wins. So I predicted my own division, my fandom division, all within 3 wins. And that really helped.
See, looking at yours now, I'm really proud of. You say I should victory lap. The thing I want to victory lap is how right I was about the Commanders, based on looking at yours and.
And you still had them at only 8 and 9. Like, you didn't get the +1 for them, if you believe it. Like,
yeah, I believe it.
That's crazy. You were so high on them.
I was highest on Daniels, and I think what happened was backdoor deals, if you will. I convinced you going into a best ball draft that Daniels was good. You're like, yeah, if Daniels slips far enough, we'll get him. And we ended up taking Daniels in that best ball draft, and he was one of the reasons we got onto the playoffs. And that, so it worked out. But that kind of proves my point. Is when I'm right about something, I'm really right, and then everyone else is like, no, you're crazy, but I'm not right enough. That's what this is telling me. I need to be a little bit more conservative.
Both of your 14th team in the conference ended up being like 5.
I had the AFC really, really good.
Well, no. I'm just going up from the bottom. It's like, okay, Raiders, New England, Panthers, Giants. Yes, those were the 4 worst teams. Not in that exact order you had them, but they were the 4 worst teams.
Yeah, those are the top 4 picks, right? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. But then you get to both your 14ths, and those were both like 6 seeds, 5 seeds in the playoffs. Teams that you had were going to be the next worst teams were playoff teams.
Yeah.
I had the Broncos doing good.
And then you get to Indy and Seattle, man, like yeah, it's a little off. Like
I had the Broncos
I'm just
doing
going up
good.
from the bottom, and I'm like, from the bottom up, you're looking good, and then you immediately look completely wrong, and yet you beat me. I'm still trying to figure this out. Hold on.
The one thing I will victory lap for you, Donnie, is you were the most right on the Jets. Why were you right about the Jets? Give people to not like. Why did you?
I don't remember what I said. I just knew it was the Jets. Like, honestly, that's what I remember talking to myself.
It's the Jets. Aaron
Rodgers
fixed it. He's not coming back from an Achilles. Whatever you said, I don't know.
Yes, basically something along those lines. Like,
and then they 100% blew themselves up from the inside this year.
Yeah, you know what hurt you, Gov? The minus points. That's why I wish it was 6 wins. Because if it was 6 wins instead of 7, it would have been really close. I don't know what the final tally would have been.
I'm about to say, like, I was off by 7 points. So but I had more perfect divisions, which were +3s.
Yep.
But you got more perfect records, which were also +3s.
And I got like the AFC East where you lost to, that's a 6-point swing. I got 4.
Yeah, so you get a perfect team in that division, and I lose 2 because of how bad someone was. Yeah, that's where that's a 5-point swing. I was off by 7. You flip one of those. That's what I'm trying to think. It's like, wow, if I would have just been just that Jets-Buffalo thing, and it's probably like 35-34, 35-36, something like that.
I think you were most wrong on the Bills, and that really hurt you.
That is what it is. That AFC, you're not wrong. The AFC East screwed my thought process. I should have had more Bills. I should have been drafted. Although, to be fair, fantasy-wise, when we were doing this as the exercise before best ball, would I have been better off drafting any more Bills wide receivers or tight ends or anything? Really, at all? No. They somehow all I really needed to know was like if I had Josh Allen and James Cook, I probably could have just had them all year. The other guys would have just been plug and plays. No one really had a real spike week. Shakir never had like a 20, 30-point week, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't remember the Bill that had a spike week that wasn't Josh Allen just going for 40 or James Cook going for 30.
No, I think Shakir had 1 spike week. But, like, still.
Coop never had it. I don't think Coleman ever had it. Kincaid and Knox didn't have it at tight end.
Yep. I mean,
and Kincaid was in and out of the lineup because of injuries and just
all you really would have needed would have been Josh Allen, James Cook, and maybe a late round Ray Davis who had like 1 game or something when he started late in the season. Mm-hmm. That would have all you needed was like a flyer, either their quarterback, starting running back, or a flyer. And it was only because he's a rushing quarterback. It'd be like taking Lamar, Derrick Henry, and then not ever drafting Flowers or Andrews or Likely.
What I'll say about just this, I feel like when we did the exercise, when we did this before the best ball, I think it made us draft better as a group. Because it
did give us a better consensus of what we thought the league was going to be this year. And we got to talk through it and see that. And we did sort of have we all thought the Chargers would be better. We all thought certain things about teams. Like, we all had Philly, except for Logan, pretty decent. We all had Detroit decent.
We had Arizona decent. Like,
even
not
you
good.
Even you didn't have like Dallas sucking. You just didn't have them at 12 wins.
Yeah.
Plus.
Like, I thought Dallas would make the playoffs, but they were not healthy and were like, a couple games out? No, they weren't because of the weird wild card standings and But
yeah.
So
basically in your records, like what Dallas ended up is where Washington is, and Washington ended up where you had Dallas, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you just flip those 2 teams and your division looks better. You were also higher on Caleb in Chicago, which I knew not to be.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Which would put you ahead of me because I was high on the Bears. I still am. I think the Bears offense would be
I get you. They threw a lot of talent together. I probably should have had that thought about the Jets. But it's the fucking Bears. It's gonna be Caleb. It's gonna suck.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that, that's kind of crazy. I said the same thing about the Jets, but I wasn't harsh on the Bears for the same exact reasons.
Basically, I was good. I was fine with the Jets. And was harsh on the Bears for those exact same reasons. So, it's a good, it is a good exercise to see that. I was giving the AFC a pass and dinging the NFC because they're in my division. Or maybe it's a spiteful thing between the Bears and the Panthers that's going to happen for a few until we figure this shit out.
Yeah, I mean, my big wrong, I think, really, outside of Minnesota, which is everyone's big wrong in this pod, Tennessee, I don't know why I convinced myself that Tennessee was going to be decent. Because I did the same thing. I gave the Titans the Steelers respect. I remember having them at 4 wins, and I was like, no way Tennessee only wins 4.
Now, this will seem like I'm giving you some flowers here because you're a Patriots fan, Donnie, but I really do believe that you love the Mike Vrabel kind of team where it's just this really conservative, hard-nosed team that loves defense, and they play hard, and they're gritty. And I give you that compliment to say, that's probably what you thought the Titans were still going to be, even though he wasn't the coach.
I don't like Tony Pollard, and I still was like, man, Tony Pollard's talented enough.
But then, lo and behold,
your AFC South is awful.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
I can't believe you have so many points for your AFC South with how awful it is.
Yeah. That's why 3 wins.
You didn't get anything right Did you?
It is true. Hold on, because I've known Donnie a while. Why do you hate the AFC South? Because I swear you don't.
I was high on the
Is the
Texans.
only thing you got right was order and the Texans' record?
No, it was you get a point for every team you're within 3 wins. So that's where a lot of my points came from. I was just close.
What? I thought Jacksonville and Tennessee were like 4-win teams.
No, Tennessee 4 wins. Yeah, that gave me 3 points. Or 1 point, I mean.
Well,
but
that is a good point, though, Don. I've never known you to cheer for any AFC.
You had Indy at 7. I'm pretty sure all these guys were like 4-win teams.
The South was better than you think. Just remember that.
But say something nice about the South. Because now I'm thinking about it, Donnie.
I still think the Texans are very good. I don't know why.
Yeah, the Titans had 3 wins. The Jags had 4. Okay, the Colts were 8 and 9. You were closer on the Colts than I thought.
Okay,
and then the Texans only had 10 wins. So, yes, you were within 3 on 3 of the 4.
Texans?
It looks
like. Yeah, okay, so it should be 3, not 4. Okay.
It's still only 1 point. But I'm like, wow, your AFC South is garbage.
I am going to be more harsh. If you cannot, next year, it's going to be.
Next year, it should be fucking like.
Next year, if you don't have a single division player team position right, you're losing 3 points next year. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, if you don't have a single division thing right, you should definitely lose points for that. You're completely wrong.
Yeah, there should be an overall
I did not have.
I don't think that would have dinged many of us this year.
No.
Because we all would have had at least one guy, even if it was just like the team that came in third came in third.
Yeah.
I also think the 3 wins should go down to 2, make it a little more accurate before you start giving people points for being that close.
It was just a little.
Keep the perfect one at 3 though. That's good.
That is a good number. I do like that we're kind of experimenting with this and talking about experiment. If people want to play
next year, I do want to just have the divisions. I didn't take the division screenshot. I took the conference screenshot. This made it so much easier for me. So I will try to remember that. But
next year, I'll try not to just throw away points by just not fulfilling a valid lineup card. Gov knows this as well. I play a lot of DFS golf. This is just not filling out a golf ticket or a lineup card. This is it's unacceptable. I need to be better.
But I mean,
I gave your Patriots too much credit. They shouldn't have 5 wins.
I gave them the most credit, I think.
You did. You had them at 9 and 8. I had them at 5 and 12 as well. So
let's because I had a bunch of hot topics in case we had nothing to talk about today. I was highest on Drake May and Daniels out of this class, so I expect them to be franchise
I just didn't
guys.
expect Drake May to start until at least week 4.
Fair, but I think next year we could see a Patriots spike. They're going to. I
expect the Patriots next year to be a 500 team. Yeah, I would be disappointed as a fan for them to not be 500 next year.
I kind of feel the same way about the Bears too, though. I think Ben Johnson's going to come in. He's going to give that offense some fun, creativity. He's going to loosen them up again. They're going to enjoy playing football. So I think I would go back to the Bears being good. But we'll figure out our point system because I actually would like people to follow along if they want to. They can do this exercise themselves. We'll send it out on Twitter so then you guys will know the points. So you could actually do this. Because I do think Donnie was right. This did help us kind of get in the mindset of, okay, what do we want to have happen? How can we use this for even DFS got me thinking early on. It got me to tune out the noise because we got the week 1 salary so early and everyone falls in love with the pricing. But then you're like, wait, I thought this before, I knew the salary. Do I actually think, this is going to work out?
The thing is, we did it in June. We did it before training camp. We did it before we knew what the final 53 was. You could have this more accurate easily. The exercise was to get us ready for the season, and I think that's exactly what it did. Obviously, the Niners being
ready
injured,
for the season, ready for our early best ball draft.
Yeah,
which I believe was our better of our drafts.
It was our best draft. Yeah, I mean it really is. It's a fun exercise for one. Even if you're not looking at a fantasy outlook, I've done this for years. I think now to even have a reason to put it into the fantasy world as well, it's adding more and more value to it. I say it's worth it personally. I love doing it. And it's just fun to look back on. If you're willing to look back on what you thought and it's like, man, I was really that wrong on something. I can't believe I overlooked Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. I learn the most when I make mistakes. So I need the transparency. Like, if I did this later in the year and I got more things right, I don't think I would learn as much from it. So I really do use it as like a way to audit myself and be like, wait, you were too high on this. Like, you need to take a step back, and now it's concrete. It's out in the world. And that was the idea of this podcast. It was like, I want to be able to teach people a bankroll management between three guys who just love football. Like, we're not trying to be professionals. We're not trying to tout anything or give you a subscription to something. We're just trying to tell you what these, the three guys would do with their bankroll. And I think we've successfully accomplished that with our show,
And I would say 100% come June, I want to do it again. Every time we did it, I think last year we put it in the link, so people have the same site and can do the exercise. Now that we have an official point scoring system, we will update it coming up for the next time. But, it is fun. I enjoy it.
It's definitely a good way of like starting my thought. Like, it's a good way because like a guy like me, I'm playing NBA now all the day. I'll be playing baseball come May and June.
This is like after NBA finals.
After the finals is a good way to get my brain starting to think about football during the summer months when I'm kind of like taking it like a summer vacation sort of feel.
Exactly.
Is that when we want to roughly do it again after the finals?
I think it worked last year.
That's
Why
when
not?
I usually do it, yeah.
After the NBA finals, we'll set up our show to do our we'll have our predictor show where we'll go through this for each of us and talk about it. Then we'll have a show where we go through and rank the players, and then we'll have our draft show. It's a good setup.
Why were we highest on the Browns? Let's give the Browns some bit of hope.
They had a good defense even all year. Their offense was just so bad with Deshaun and the run game. It was so bad.
I expected Deshaun to be a bare minimum average quarterback. That's what I expected Deshaun to be. That's why I had them going 8-9.
And I thought he would be less than what he was in Houston, but better than average, which is why I had them at like 10, 11 wins.
See, but I
knew that defense was right there with some of the top. Like, they had a top 10 defense if their offense wouldn't have been so bad that their defense was on the field so much that it made it look like a middle of the pack, the worst defense.
But if they lose Myles Garrett, is that just like the end? Are they going to be like
the end?
That does not help them at all, and we know that.
So
not even a question.
That's such a hard.
If they lose Myles Garrett, their defense will not be good.
Yeah, that would be such a hard reset for me. I mean,
I'm saying, like, do you get some hope from that? Being like, well, now we got some rookies, and there'll be some. Or is the idea that we have to keep Myles Garrett? You have to like somehow repair that relationship.
Is Myles Garrett
that team is dead?
Is Myles Garrett still dominant in his position? Yes. Then you need to keep him because he is a core of your defense and why it works right now.
Logan, the issue is it's not a relationship problem between the Browns and Myles Garrett. I'm sure he's fine with the team itself, like the people around the team. The issue is the state of the team. There is no direction of future. He is 30 now. You can't fix that.
So that's what I'm telling you as a fan, though. Like, we're supposed to give the fans some hope. So the hope is to repair the relationship with Myles Garrett. Like, that's the hope.
Just like as a Patriots fan, when it was time to let Brady go, I was 100% fine with it because it made no sense to continue to go 9-8 and 10-7 when you need to overhaul and rebuild. That just doesn't make sense.
Your hope is long term. You're saying, hey, Brown fans, you're going to have to suck for a while. You're going to have to lose your best defensive player. We got to rebuild this team.
You got to. I mean, it's better than going
5-12. Another 5-year plan. Let's restart the 5-year plan.
You got to.
The umpteenth thousandth time.
Yeah, you got to restart. That's the thing with the NFL. It's so weird because it's like you got to reset. You got to reset for a 5-year plan, but then reevaluate if that 5-year plan's working by year 3. And then if it's not working, then you got to reset again. Like, it's.
The sad part is you might be right, but
the problem is though, like that's what teams are doing, and it's never works.
It doesn't work if you're doing it wrong. If you had the wrong people in place, it's not going to work ever. Detroit did it right. They reevaluated at year 3 and saw, hey, Dan Campbell, he hasn't made it to the playoffs yet, but there's a direction here at least, and they kept it. And the 5-year plan finished, and it's worked now. Like,
but
if you do it the right way, it's fine.
They also didn't blow up with a bunch of rookies either. They brought in a Jared Goff. They brought in established guys and built around them. So they did a weird. I mean,
but you know, Logan, I'm sure you can attest to it. When after like year 2 or 3 of Dan Campbell's tenure, there was people calling for his jobs, and the Lions had to evaluate it, and they thought it is working right now.
What you're saying is right, then what you're saying is 2 years ago. Because if this was supposed to be the culmination of the 5-year plan, then what you're saying is like at the start of the season 2 years ago. Because like at the start of the season 2 years ago, he was amazing. Like you have to go back to after year 1 of Dan Campbell, they were saying that stuff. Not after year 3.
No, after year 2.
By the end of year 2, you knew
and at the end of year 2.
At the end of year 2, you knew Detroit was going to be good, and at the end of year 3, they were in the freaking playoffs. And at the end of year 3 would have been
that would either be the year they beat the Packers.
Wasn't that them losing to San Francisco in the NFC title game? That was year 3.
This is year 4.
This is only year 4.
Okay, so yeah. But after year 2,
that's actually where it's like, no, you give your guy, you stick with it, it works so good. But that's the thing. If it doesn't work out right away, they just scrap it like it's a 5-year plan and move on. New coach, do everything.
Mayo.
I think that does not work. You actually need to give a team time to build a team, which takes 3 to 4 years usually, and then have it gel. Maybe it gels really early and you're good in those 3 to 4 years early, but usually a good team takes 5 or 6 to build. You might suck for those first 4, but then those last 2, you're a contender.
By year 3, you need to show you have some capability. And if you haven't shown that, then you have to be like, okay, we got to restart.
I think you both are
right now. I've seen enough right now where if you do that, if you're the Chargers and you do that, you're the fucking stupidest organization in the world.
The Chargers had a good year.
Yes, year 1. But you're saying after year 3, they have to reevaluate. At this point, I'm willing to give Harbaugh a 7-year fucking deal.
Well, yeah.
Locked in.
That's the thing. They've already done enough as the Chargers year 1. They've shown promise already.
Okay, but
by
I'm
year
saying
3, they should be a 12-win team.
And what I'm saying is not enough teams are willing to realize that that's variance and it doesn't matter, and you should just be giving teams 7. You should never reevaluate after 3. 3 years isn't enough to do crap in this league unless you're absolutely perfect drafting, everyone else gets hurt, and you sign the best free agent to the best value deal.
Miami's in year 4 of what's his name? Reevaluating it. Do you
year
see
5?
Year 5? Year 5?
No, this is beyond year 5. Because now they're at year 6 where you have to pay Tua or start over.
Yeah,
you already paid Tua. I'm talking about with their coach.
They already had to make that decision. Well, no, the coach and everything's going to come together. It's all you get rid of the coach, the quarterback's probably shit too. The way you're talking about restarting, you have to get rid of everyone to do that. You can't restart and keep the head coach or the starting quarterback.
The question
that's not a restart.
Is Miami okay with being a 9-8, 10-7 team for the next 5 years, or do they want to restart? I don't care what. As a fan, I'd be pissed if you told me you're fine with being mediocre. But
yeah, you're either delusional because you don't see what you need to do. Like maybe they see a plan where it's this is good enough and we can tool this and tool that and get there. Maybe they have a plan, but people have to be delusional about it. Every team is delusional about it because they some teams are delusional in the way I hate. I'm saying, they this isn't working, and they scrap it after year 3.
The Jaguars are doing this consistently. No coach.
Well, to be fair, we're in kind of a turmoil time right now in the NFL because, you have Kansas City, and then you have Philly and San Francisco, and now you have Detroit, who's looks like they've built the right thing.
And Baltimore, and Buffalo.
Baltimore is kind of there, but they're perennially there, and then it's sort of like Pittsburgh. So, like, there's 5 or 6 teams that are just perennially consistently good.
Like Cincinnati,
and everyone else keeps retooling every 3 to 4 years trying to catch that. And all of these other teams are the ones that have been consistent for like 8-9 years plus to get that way.
Cincinnati is a victim of consistency around them between Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they wouldn't look nearly as bad if they weren't for Baltimore and Pittsburgh being so consistent.
Like, because they're
not because they've had really good years and they've had really good offenses. But like when 2 teams in your division are just like always at 9 or 10 wins, unless you go 14-3, like.
Mm-hmm. You both made some really good points, but the one thing to take away that I keep coming back to that I think we can all agree on is either coaches don't feel like they have long enough leash, or ownerships don't give them that long enough leash. If you're going to say it's a 5-year plan and you're going to give a young coach like Dan Campbell, who's doesn't have a lot of coaching experience but has this like bravado and this like connection with players, you have to allow that connection to grow. And so, like, if you tell me it's a 5-year plan, you have to give me 5 years. You can't say it's a 5-year plan with a 3-year make me feel good plan like that.
It's a 3-year plan with a 2. It's a 3-year plan with a 2-year team option. No, I need a 5-year deal.
No, I think the 3 years, like, you need to have, like, if you've lost your locker room, then we need to reevaluate what's happening. Like, Dan Campbell had the locker room so bought in.
Okay. That
from year 2, he had a bought.
Okay, what you're talking about can literally happen in half a season.
Yeah.
A coach can lose a locker room in 4 games.
Exactly.
One really bad 4-game stretch. Even after 5 years of
consistency,
could argue
Nick Sirianni almost lost the locker room.
Exactly. He was able to turn it around after the bye week, and they went and won a fucking Super Bowl.
And I'm not even saying each team has to be the same. Like the Raiders hire Pete Carroll. He's in his 70s. Maybe he doesn't need a 5-year plan. Maybe you don't give him a 5-year plan. Maybe his plan is 3 years. But I do think it's incredibly unfair to the coaching staff and the player culture identity we're trying to build when you act like everyone has the same equal footing when we don't. There are some plans and some organizations that give a longer leash for right or wrong reasons all the time. But we
the Bears are known for giving long leashes. The Cowboys are known for giving long leashes.
Right.
The Cowboys usually are decent. The Bears are usually not.
So, but if Ben Johnson...
You say the Cowboys are usually decent, and they've kind of sucked my entire life after their Super Bowls.
It's true.
No, but
I'm including those Rumble, and they've sucked every time they've been in the playoffs.
Well,
getting to the playoffs and losing in the first game is not good.
I wouldn't want that as a fan, but
I thought you said you hate mediocre. You wouldn't.
I do. They've been decent though. I don't like decent. I like greatness. Restart it.
And that's what I'm saying.
The problem is to restart the Cowboys, Jerry has to sell the team.
Yeah. Well,
otherwise you're still just under the same coach, general manager, essentially.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I do think we had a nice little fiery into that show. I do think this is a good place to end, though. I want to thank people for doing and I hope we're going to tweet this out. We'll tweet out the point system closer to the date, and hopefully you guys will follow along as well and give some more feedback, because I do think it's a fun exercise.
Cover view time. If we tweet it out and you guys build one, maybe we'll have time to look at it. It is the off season; it's a bit slower, so we might have time to look at it.
Sure, there was a couple times in the off season last year where we covered some best ball teams, so for some viewers that were just live and wanted us to do some review, and we had some time. So I don't want to commit to it, but if you guys ever have any questions, concerns, drop them for us, and we'll go from there. But you can tell from the phone, from the alerts, from the things we got to get going on today, we should probably leave you here. But we will be back. We're going to try to at least do 1 show a week. I think that's a good pace for the offseason, at least. Maybe 2 if something really big pops off. But with that being said,
some sprinkled in NBA shows here and there, maybe for lock.
UFL starts about the same time as baseball, so we'll have plenty of sports to talk about, and any other topics that are really bugging us at the time.
It is a great time to experiment, though, like with different sports, with different formats. Like if you want to try a DFS sport, you got a little extra bankroll from football. Like, we're going to cover the UFL. I think that's a good niche sport. I do think you should try some niche things. You might fall in love with a sport you didn't know that you loved before.
Hey.
Like, look at.
And NFL draft in April. So we get to talk about prospects and who we hate for no reason because we've never seen them play in the NFL.
And there's still some edge in the NFL draft in the sports books. Not as big as there was, but there is still some edges. So if you do know about it, the draft, there's content to be taken there as well. With that being said, though, good afternoon, good morning, good night. See you guys later.
Peace out, everyone.